A major trend over the past several election cycles has been the fundraising success of the Democratic Party. Throughout the last 5 election cycles, so 2008, 2012, 2016, 2020, and 2024, the Democrats have successfully outraised Republicans both on the presidential level and on the congressional level. What does this mean? Why has one side of the aisle been doing such a better job of fundraising and therefore have more resources to spend and increase their probability of winning elections? They have won 3 of the past 4 elections, and on top of that, they've won the popular vote on 7 of the last 8 elections. The question I'm going to address is, why is this the case? Is this simply just old money backing the left and funneling a bunch of money into PACs and other means? Or is there something going on that's a lot deeper than that? Welcome to Analyzing Finance with Nick. Today we're going to be talking about the economics of campaign finance and why over the past 20 years you've seen a lot more success in terms of political contributions and campaign finance strategy from the Democratic Party versus the Republican Party. But first, let's get into the numbers. If you look at the overall congressional races in America, donations to Democrats in the House contribute about 51% versus 48.5% in terms of Republicans. Within the Senate, 60% of donations have gone to Democrats versus just 32.8% of donations have gone to Republicans. And on the presidential level, the margin is much wider, with, as of October 2024, the combined fundraising of the previously Biden campaign and now Harris campaign is totaled to be about $1.6 billion compared to the fundraising of former President Trump, which is about $700 million. And so you see there's a big gap, and it's not really just a 2020 thing. According to FEC data and opensecrets.org, which are the 2 main sources that I am using for this research, when it comes to large PAC donations, both parties have approximately raised about $1 billion through PACs, whether that's to the president or to congressional rates. They basically have canceled each other out. When you look at the numbers, however, in terms of the overall margin for the 2024 election on the presidential level, Kamala Harris has raised $1.6 billion as of October 2024, and where Donald Trump has raised $700 million to $1 billion, depending on the source, as of October 2024. However, it's interesting as it comes to small donors, they make up the entire spread. And if you look at individual contributions under $5,000, Harris has raised about $1.08 billion from small donors, compared to President Trump, which has only raised about $355 million. And so that $700 to $800 million spread is about the same amount of the gap of their total fundraising. So you have both candidates have raised approximately $400 billion from PACs and donors of $5,000 or more. And the entire difference is between the smaller donors. And if you look at the very small donors, which is those who have given less than $200 to either campaign, the gap is even bigger. When it comes to Kamala Harris, she has about 65% of her contributions from individuals have been for people with less than $200 in total donations. Whereas with President Trump, it's about 55% have come from of his individual donors have come from less than $200. However, what's even more stark is that only about half of President Trump's total contributions have come from individuals, where the rest has come from businesses or other organizations donating to PACs. Whereas for Harris, she has about 65% of her donations coming from individual donors and 65% of those individual donors giving $200 or less. So it's the Democrats who are getting more grassroots funding, and the Republicans are being more sponsored by big business and larger organizational money. So you have a lot of the new money rich effectively are supporting Trump despite him coming off as a populist. And if you dive deeper into this, this has been the trend for 4 of the last 5 elections. The only election where Republicans outraised Democrats in terms of small donations was 2016, where President Trump outraised Clinton in terms of donations under $200. So the question is, why are individual Democratic voters more willing to give small donations to campaigns than Republicans? Is it because all the Republicans are wealthy? No, if you look at the voting patterns of the wealthy, it's pretty close to 50-50. The real reason probably might be how much does each side really care? There's a good piece on Substack written by Richard Hanania. I don't agree with everything that Hanania says, but I think his best work was an article called "Why is Everything Liberal?" And it basically just goes into the numbers explaining why you see a disproportionate amount of time, money, and energy invested into progressive causes relative to conservative causes. And he has an interesting chart where basically it shows the donations by occupations and how basically every occupations except for police and small business owners and military donated more to President Biden than to President Trump. And you look at the donation sizes for by profession, it all points to the Democrats. And overall, among individual donors, Biden beat Trump 61% to 39% compared to just winning the popular vote by 4 points. In 2016, Hillary Clinton outraised Trump 2-1 overall. In 2012, Obama raised $234 million from small individual contributors versus just $80 million by Mitt Romney, whereas both of them received a similar amount, about $300 million in large individual contributions, and Mitt Romney outraised Obama in terms of PAC contributions. So that shows you just the difference, how the average voter on the Democratic side is willing to part ways with their money to support their causes than the average Republican voter. It's not the case that Democrats on the net donate more to charity. In fact, it's the other way around. About 31% of Republicans gave $1,000 or more to charity, whereas only 17% of Democrats have given $1,000 or more to charity. And this is according to the Philanthropy Roundtable. And the Democrats had a higher percentage of people who gave less than $100 annually to charity compared to Republicans as well, according to the same source. The main variable that drives charitable giving is not political ideology, but religious affiliation. Religiosity is likely what explains the difference in campaign donations among small donors to the Democrats versus the Republicans, because the churches are a big source of donations and charitable contributions, and the amount of money that is given to churches in a given year dwarfs what's donated to political campaigns. On average, Americans donate about $75 billion to churches compared to the total amount of money spent on campaign contributions for this cycle. It's almost 5-1, where it's about 15 to 16 billion has been raised on both sides of the aisle for all of the presidential and congressional campaigns in the United States. So a lot of the money that a conservative person could have donated towards a political candidate, instead they donated to their church. And there's only so much money to go around. And the reason why I'm confident about this is that look at the difference in terms of religious affiliation of your median voter in each party. The Democrats, 38% of them identify as non-Christian, with 31% of those 38% being religiously unaffiliated entirely. Whereas for Republicans, only 15% of them identify as non-Christian, and out of that 15%, 12% are religiously unaffiliated. If you're religiously unaffiliated, you're probably not donating to a church. And so as a result, they have more money available to donate to political candidates. And this just makes sense if you look at the average donation sizes to church. The average donation to a church annually is about $205. And among those donations, you have the vast majority of them, over 70%, are less than $250, with only about 3% of church donations being more than $1,000 per year. And that same money, if that was not being donated to churches and would have been donated to political campaigns, would likely have tipped the scales the other way. Instead of fundraising overwhelmingly going to Democrats, it's going to be overwhelmingly towards Republicans. So if you want to explain the fundraising gap, it's really just a priorities matter. Conservative people are more likely to prioritize their charitable contributions and money they have available to donate to causes they care about to their churches, whereas those who are more left-leaning are less likely to be religious and less likely to give to charity in general. And so as a result, that money, instead of going to religious organizations and other faith-based charities, is going to political campaigns. Overall, if you disagree with me, let me know your thoughts. Or if you agree, please comment. I think this is an interesting idea that is really not being discussed on the fundraising gap. It's just a matter of priorities of the small donors, as the large donors, the old money and the new money, kind of cancel each other out. And so really, the fundraising race for most presidential campaigns and just for politics in general is surprisingly in the power of the small guy, the individual donor who's making a choice whether to give money to his preferred political campaign, his local church, or some other charity of choice. A question I'd like to ask everybody, though, is what would you rather give money to? Would you rather give money to a political candidate that matches your values, your local church or religious community, or to a charity that supports a cause that you care about? And if you are somebody who donates to multiple of these, how much money do you donate relative to one side to the other? I mean, basically the people I know who donate both to church and politics tend to overwhelmingly donate more to their church or to charities that actually help people, such as for medical causes or for humanitarian aid or other things, than they do to political contributions. That's just anecdotally speaking, and the numbers kind of point to that based on what I've mentioned in this video. But I wonder, the commenters who do donate across a variety of different causes, both religious and secular, what do you prioritize and why? I'd love to hear more on the conversation in the comments. And thank you again for watching, and I look forward to talking to you in another video in the future.